Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Lupita, and although we haven't formally met, I've been working with Michael in an exciting service that he hasn't been able to provide for you. But today he's able to tell you a little bit, and then we also brought someone who is an expert who's going to be sharing all of this with you. But before I share with you what Brian is going to be sharing, I want to turn it over to Michael. So, Michael, would you mind sharing with your clients what we're doing here today?
Sure. First of all, hello to my clients, both old and new. I want to just say hello. Some of y'all I haven't seen in a long time. I want to say that during my many years as an attorney over the last couple of X number of years, I have come across a service that I think provides incredible value, and I would like to have y'all just learn about this. About this program is not only valid in El Paso and all of Texas, but all of the United States. And many cases, the type of which I don't handle, are picked up by this service that you'll hear more about in a second. And I really highly recommend it. And now I'll turn it back over to Maria.
Thank you, Michael. And one of the things that I love about the service is that I've also been a member. I've been a member, for about 10 years. And then when I realized how valuable it was, I decided to also share with Michael. And when Michael looked at it, he was like, I want to share with all of my clients. So because I'm not an expert, I'm just an expert of using it and I love the service. Then I brought an expert who is Brian Carruthers, and Brian has been is an executive with the company, is a top executive with the company, and he knows everything about this company. And the reason he knows everything about this company is not only because he's a very happy member and he'll tell you a lot of the stories, but also because he's been with this company over 2 decades. That's a long time. That's a long, long time. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to you, Brian. Take it away.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to show you guys some visuals about this incredible service as we get going here. And so, first and foremost, I've actually been a member of Legal Shield for 27 years. And when I first learned about this service, I had never used an attorney before. So I didn't know why I would need a legal plan. But then when it was shared with me, I started thinking about the reason why people don't use attorneys very often is because of the cost factor. If all or part of the legal bill was paid for by somebody else, how much more often would you pick up the phone and call a law firm? Probably a lot more than you do. So just imagine this. Imagine if you could pick up the phone and talk to a lawyer and not get a legal bill afterward. Wouldn't that be empowering? Wouldn't that give you peace of mind? So here's the thing. I believe in solutions to problems. And so a lot of problems that we come across day to day in our lives are things like getting a speeding ticket, having your will done, losing your job and not knowing what your rights are, being treated unfairly and being just pushed aside, or maybe you've been a victim of identity theft. Maybe you've had a contract that you signed and the bold print give it, but the fine print take it away. You probably heard that before. Maybe you had an insurance claim denied. Maybe you had a landlord refuse to give you back your security deposit. These are just a few of the thousands of things that happen in our lives. And so we have this service called Legal Shield. Now, some of you might be saying, "Oh, I've heard of this service. I already know about it." But I promise you, if you don't have this app on your phone and you've not been using this service, I promise you in the next 5 minutes, you're going to say, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea it does all this. I want this for me and my family now." So let me explain to you why this company came about, because I think you'll appreciate why you would want this. So the gentleman pictured on the screen there, Harlan Stonecipher, was a school teacher. And in 1969, he was driving that car in Oklahoma, had a head-on collision. He had auto insurance to get him a new car, which was obviously flipped over and beyond repair. While he was in the hospital for a week, the other driver sued him, and he had to actually lawyer up to defend himself. That cost him about $6,000 in attorney's fees. Now, he was found not guilty, so it all went away, but so did his bank account. It was depleted. And in today's dollars, that's about $30,000 that it cost him for that defense. And so he set out on a mission. He said, there's got to be something that Americans can have in place that would take care of legal bills that come out of the blue, just like you have health insurance or insuring your home for a fire. but it didn't exist. So 3 years later, he founded this company and launched what we now know as Legal Shield today. And now there's over 4.5 million people all across North America that are users of this Legal Shield membership. So I'm going to go through a little detail on exactly what the service does and how you'll be able to use it. This is our preferred legal plan, by the way. So imagine picking up the phone and calling your law firm and talking to an attorney about whatever legal issue, whatever expertise you need, whatever that kind of attorney that you need. They have the full service law firm that will give you that access for questions about real estate, divorce, bankruptcy, child custody, landlord-tenant issues, employment-related problems. You can talk to an attorney for an unlimited amount of time. It could be for hours and you don't get a legal bill. On top of that, they'll even write letters or make phone calls on your behalf. And I'm sure you would agree that a letter written on your law firm's letterhead will be a lot more powerful or a lot more effective than you or me dealing with the situation on our own. I'll give you a couple quick examples. I had a dry cleaner ruin a $48 shirt, refused to pay for a new one, even though they admitted they ruined the sleeve. I went home. I was upset about that. I thought that they were just casting me aside, even though they should have done the right thing. And so I called Legal Shield. The law firm wrote a letter to the dry cleaner. And the next week, I had an apology letter in my mailbox with a check for the $48 to get me a new shirt. Now, it's not, look, the $48 issue, I bet you that you would not call an attorney for $300 an hour to fix that. I wouldn't either. But because it's free, it's paid for by having a Legal Shield membership, I got justice. Well, I'll give you another example. I had a Sprint iPhone, and after a hurricane knocked out my signal in my neighborhood, my calls were dropping all day for 3 straight weeks. And I was frustrated. I work from home. I need good signal at my house. Well, after 3 weeks of Sprint saying they'd fix it and they never did, I asked my next door neighbor, who does he have? And he said Verizon. And I said, is the signal good? He says, yeah, sure, it's perfect. So the next day I got a new phone from Verizon and I canceled Sprint. Sprint charged me a $283 early termination fee for my 14 months left of my 2-year contract. And I told them that you can't hold me to a contract for services that don't work. They said, yes, we can. Sorry. Well, I called Legal Shield. They wrote a letter to Sprint's legal department in Virginia. I got a phone call the next week from their executive office. They apologized profusely, which I was appreciative of. And within 5 minutes, I hung up the phone with that $283 back in my possession. So again, what would you do in that situation? You hear things like swallow the pill, roll with the punches. If it doesn't kill you to make you stronger, I don't want to hear that. I want the right thing to be done. So Legal Shield will make people do the right thing for you and for your family. So they'll write letters, make phone calls, they'll review contracts and documents for you. Will preparation. This is a big one. 7 out of 10 adult Americans don't have a last will and testament. And if you die without one, the state will determine who raises your children and who gets your assets. I've had people say, well, I don't really have much. I don't have any assets. I've heard about families breaking them over a wristwatch passed down by a grandparent. We just need to get this done. Now, the average cost of doing that with an attorney doing it right, so it'll stand up in a court of law and go through probate if need be, it's going to cost you at least $1,000 on average. Well, Legal Shield's going to provide a top attorney to draw up your will, living will, healthcare, and financial power of attorney. They're going to do that for you as a part of this membership for free. And they'll even update it each year if you need to at no cost. Now, would you not agree that we already pay way too much for auto insurance? And we don't want any points to go on our record from a speeding ticket because it'll make our insurance rates go even higher. Legal Shield can help you if you get a ticket with keeping those points off. They can defend it for you. Civil lawsuit defense. If somebody sues you in a civil suit, they can represent you in court. If you get an IRS audit slip in the mail, they'll give you a tax attorney to help you deal with the IRS. If you've had this membership for at least 180 days, they'll even do an uncontested divorce, adoption, separation, name change, and even a prenup or a postnuptial agreement. All that's all covered by this membership. And this is amazing. 24/7 access for an emergency. Now, you've been a client of Michael Aronson. So he's obviously provided great value, great work for you. He's got a life, and he's a human, and he needs sleep. So I bet you, even if you have been a long-standing client of Michael's, I bet you if you have an emergency, a legal emergency at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, you're probably not going to be able to reach him. He's sleeping like he should be. But when you've got a Legal Shield membership, every one of our members is going to have this app on their phone. And you can push the red emergency button on it. And within 90 seconds, you'll have a live attorney on the phone to help you deal with whatever that emergency might be. You might be pulled over at 11 o'clock at night on the side of the road and you're scared. Maybe you have a son or daughter that's hanging out with their friends in the wrong place at the wrong time at 2 o'clock in the morning on a weekend. You have the right to remain silent, the right to call not your pastor, not your parent, your attorney. Legal Shield gives you that access 24/7. I've got a wife and 3 boys. They never will leave home without this app on their phones, at least the son that's old enough to have a phone. All that's all covered. Anything I haven't described, we have a catch-all. Preferred member discount, 25% off anything else. Criminal charge, you need to take a legal action against somebody, 25% off. So here's my favorite part about this. Let's pretend you're the attorney. I'm the client walking into your law firm. And I say, look, I want you to provide all these services for my entire family, but I don't want to pay about an hour. I want to give you 1 check a month to pay for everything. If you were my attorney, what would you charge my family per month for all that? I usually hear anywhere from $500 to $5,000 a month. At a couple $100 an hour, you expect it to be thousands a month. Well, Legal Shield, they don't charge thousands. They don't even charge hundreds. They do everything I share with you for your entire family. Look at the top left of the screen there. $37.95. A little over $1 a day. When I saw that, you guys, I said, that is the best dollar value I had ever seen in my entire life. I signed up on the spot. I'm thinking a month-to-month service for $38. If I just get signed up and I go get my will done and my estate planning, that saves me $1,000 there. That pays for this membership and for the next 2.5, 3 years right there alone. And so I've been a member, like I said, for 27 years. I've utilized the law firms, not just in Maryland or now where I live in Virginia, but also in New Jersey and other places where I've had some issues going on, 88 different times. It has saved me so much money, so much time, and so much stress. And so I just wish upon you the peace of mind that I have. Our company's motto with Legal Shield is worry less, live more. Having access to Legal Shield, it just gives me that cloak of protection that I would want for me and for my family. And how do we do it? Let me explain to you, because you're probably saying, how in the world, if attorneys typically charge on average $300 an hour or more, and you're talking about $38 a month, it doesn't jive, it doesn't make sense. Well, we've got over 4 million people that are members of Legal Shield. And our members pay this monthly membership fee, and a portion of that goes to these law firms every single month. So we're paying these firms anywhere from 6 to 7 figures a month to take care of your legal needs when they arise. That's the shared economy is how that makes that possible, just like health insurance. We also have a portfolio of services. So I just share with you the legal plan for you and your family. If you are a commercial driver, we have a CDL plan. If you have a home-based business or you're an entrepreneur like me, we have a home business add-on. You can add on to your personal plan. If you're a gun owner, we have a gun owner's legal plan. We also offer these services as an employee benefit. So if you're a business owner, guess what? We can also give you a small business legal plan. And I'll share that with you here in a second. $49.99 or $169 a month. Can you imagine having that whole menu of services that are provided at no cost as a part of your legal plan for your small business? Small businesses across North America love their small business legal plan from Legal Shield. We're talking about debt collection letters. One debt collection letter to have your law firm do, if you're a business owner, that's going to cost you $200 or $300, but it's free when you got one of these legal plans. Whether it could be the contract reviews, or you need a letter written, or a consultation, or employee handbook drafting, or you got trademark or copyright questions, tax questions. This is very, very popular. And like I said before, we have the hybrid for somebody who does not have a brick and mortar business and employees where they would need a small business plan. We also have this $29.95 add-on for somebody like me as an entrepreneur working from home to be able to use it for business legal needs. So last thing I want to share with you, and I'm going to land this plane. We asked a whole bunch of our members a few years ago to give us a one-word adjective that describes how they feel because they have this Legal Shield membership. You know what they answered? Look at the left side there. They said empowered, smart, protected, secure, postured, peace of mind, powerful, rich, privileged, confident, and heard. Those are the words. I didn't come up with them. That's what they said. Our members said that's how they feel because they've got Legal Shield. And then right after that, we said, well, what would you describe with one word? How would you describe your feeling if you would no longer have access to a Legal Shield membership? And you know what they said? Defenseless, unsure, vulnerable, insecure, scared, taken advantage of, weak, poor, disadvantaged, timid, discriminated against, and unheard. And so here's what I would propose to you. How would you prefer to feel? Those beautiful left side purple words? Would you want to be protected and secure and empowered and have peace of mind? Or would you be preferring defenseless, unsure, vulnerable, and scared? And so why do I bring this up? Because when you have a Legal Shield membership, even every day when you're not on the phone calling the law firm to get some help, you're still getting value from having this membership for your family, because you're going to walk around this earth now with your shoulders back, your chest out, with a confident posture, knowing that you got the best AV rated law firms across this country that's got your back. You're going to feel empowered, and you're going to feel that peace of mind. So I just want to encourage you today. Obviously, Michael wanted us to bring this service to you. It can be used anywhere across the country. Of course, you've got access to Michael to can still use him for his legal help that he can provide, but he practices a certain area of law and in a certain state. And so this is something that you can, and people say, well, I've got a brother who's an attorney. Do I really need Legal Shield? I don't need it. Well, guess what? We have attorneys that pay for this membership for themselves to use. Michael is actually a member of Legal Shield now. Just like a doctor doesn't say, well, I'm a doctor, so I don't want my family to have health insurance. Doctors need health care. Attorneys need legal help. So I just want to say thank you for giving us a few minutes to learn about Legal Shield. I hope that you make the decision to sign up for this service and use it right away. Get your will done. If you already have a will, get it updated. Pick up the phone, get a question answered you've been thinking about or has been bothering you for a while. Once you experience this, you're always going to want to have it. So we appreciate your time. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you. And Brian, I always learn something from you. And I have one last favor, because I watched one of your videos, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but I remember you did a little square. Would you mind sharing with Michael's clients? Remember, do you know what I'm talking about? You did a square with it's never, you can't see it very well.
Yes,
you do a square. Would you mind covering that real quick for Michael's clients as to how, like, if you have insurance, you need this. If you have life insurance,
I'm right with you. So here, I call this the protection review. So people who are smart and want to be protected, want to be just vigilant about things that come up in life. They have insurances for these things. So the typical person is paying for 4 insurances: auto, health, life, and home. And so what I typically like to do is I ask people to give me a dollar amount of what they are paying right now for each of these insurances. Matter of fact, I've got my blur on, so I won't be able to kind of show you, but I've got a document here where somebody actually just recently filled it in. So they told me they're paying $200 a month for their auto insurance, $700 a month for their health insurance, $100 a month for their home insurance, and $50 for their life insurance. So we add all that up, and they're paying over $1,000 a month for these insurances. And it's smart to do, right? But I asked them, I said, if you get into a car accident and your insurance company says they're going to pay $1,400 to fix the car, but you know it's going to cost $1,900 to do it right, who are you going to call? Your health insurance. You give birth to a little baby boy, and the hospital says the next day, time to go home. But you say, I don't feel right. I need to stay here one more night to be kind of looked at and to be watched. And they check with your insurance company. They come back in the room and say, hey, the insurance company's not going to approve another $1,000 stay here at the hospital. You got to go. Who are you going to call? Your house burns down, and the insurance company says they're going to pay $160,000 to rebuild, but you know it's going to cost you $210,000. Again, who are you going to call? Have you ever heard of anybody having a problem collecting on a life insurance policy? They love to take your premium every month, but they don't really like paying it out. Well, if you can see this, I just basically draw a line from these 4 corners, these 4 insurances, to the middle. And in the middle, I put the legal, and I put that $38. So you're spending $1,000 a month for all these insurances, and you don't even know if they're going to perform when the time comes. But you put your legal plan in the middle, which basically is your enforcer of those insurances. And so they're going to Legal Shield. Our law firms will hold those firms, those insurance companies, where it's going to hold their feet to the fire when the time comes. So what I always typically say is, if you're spending $1,000 a month on those insurances for pennies on the dollar to enforce them, it just makes total sense. And look, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and say, I haven't been sick for a while, I'm going to cancel health insurance. I haven't wrecked my car in a while, I'm going to cancel auto insurance. My house has never burned down, I'm going to stop paying for that. No, you're always going to be paying for those. So you might as well have the legal plan right there in the middle of them all. And something bad does not have to happen with your legal plan like the others to get value out of this. You could be adopting a child, you could be buying a home, you could be getting your will done, you can be getting positive things done with your legal plan, getting value out of it on a regular basis. So hope that helps.
I absolutely love that, and thank you so much, Brian, for adding that, because that's complete. When I saw your video, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish everybody would see this. One thing that I want to add, Michael, one of the things that I think you wanted to share with everybody is that I'm going to be reaching out to all of your clients. So for those of you who are going to be getting calls from me, I'm Maria Lupita, and my phone number, I'm going to say it slowly, is Maria Lupita 949-813-3584. So I know that Michael and his staff, they're all in El Paso. So you're going to be getting a call from Orange County, California. So when you get a call from me, you know that I'm associated now with Michael, because I want you to be able to have the services, and I want you to be able to also get your questions answered. So if there's any questions that you have, just like Brian was saying, Michael is super busy. If you've ever tried to reach Michael, I know that he's always available, because that's why he took a call right now, because one of you called him and one of you needed to have an answer on that spot, and that's the way Michael is. So with that being said, I want, just like, I don't know if some of you remember me from decades ago, or I don't know how long ago, Michael, it was that I worked with you, but just like before, you can have me in your back pocket. And if you have any questions regarding Legal Shield and how this can be a great service for you and your family and your loved ones, then I would love to be of service. So with that, thank you for hanging out with us, and thank you for letting us share with you what now Michael Aronson, the Aronson Law Firm, is going to be sharing with you, and making it another incredible, affordable option for you. Have a great day.